Yeah. My goodness. Yay. We are live on the show right now on the Life and Health Show. And I welcome our first viewer who is actually also giving us a thumbs up. My goodness, that is huge. My goodness. We appreciate you so much and we thank you for being the first. I think there are more people on other places that we haven't seen yet, but I would appreciate it if you could share with your friends and loved ones and people you know so that we will roll together. My goodness. All right, so today is a beautiful day. Our intro song was short today because we want to just go straight to business. We don't want to keep people waiting for so long before they see or watch the show. So we are here now, and I'm just waiting for you to share. If you haven't already clicked the share button, I know you clicked the thumbs up, but if you haven't clicked the share, it's time to do that for us. And then the love and the likes and the follow and all the good stuff. My goodness. Alrighty. All right, so we are going to hit on to our health tip for the week. So our health tip for the week of first week of August. I mean July. Oh,
July.
I'm ahead of myself.
I think it's the second half of the year.
Second half of the year. Oh my, 6 months down and 6 months counting. And we thank God for the 6 months past. COVID is almost completely out of the window and we don't know what is yet ahead, but we know that we will make it. And if you agree, say yeah with me. My goodness. All right. So, health tip for the week, this first week of July. We have been talking about things that people should do. And today we want to bring to your attention that it is important that you have health insurance. If you are watching today or you're going to be watching later on the replay and you don't have health insurance for whatever reason, we encourage you to change your situation by getting health insurance. It doesn't matter where you are watching from. You're watching from the USA. I know that some young people don't want to buy health insurance through the Obamacare exchange because they don't feel like they will need it. But trust me, if you need it, it's going to be too late for you. So insurance is buying it when you don't need it, so that when you need it, it will be there for you. So young people who are watching, if you are not insured, go to the marketplace and get yourself covered with insurance. Now, for other people in other places who are also watching in Ghana, Nigeria, wherever it is you are watching from, um, we want to make sure that you also get health insurance. In Ghana, for instance, they have national health insurance, but you got to pay a little bit. Some people don't want to do that because, again, they don't think they are going to be sick, or they feel like they may still have to pay anyway, and so there's no need to get insured. But I'm here to tell you that it is better to be covered than to be found wanting when you are sick. So if you are not insured health wise, please obtain health insurance before you get sick or before something is actually needed. Sometimes you may not be sick, but a procedure may be required. And if you are not insured, that's going to be grounds for serious, cost for you. So get yourself health insurance and let's roll together. That's our life and health tip for the week. My goodness, yes, we see more people joining. Continue with the thumbs up and share and the like and follow if you're not already following or friends on Facebook, follow or whatever it is you're doing. So we will roll together. All right, so go to the next slide. Today we are talking about wisdom from the poor. Wisdom from the poor. That is huge. Some people are probably asking themselves, if we need to learn something, why shouldn't we learn from the rich, from the wealthy? Because they got something to show for. But lessons and wisdom can come from any place. You just have to open your eyes and be looking for it. And today we want to talk about some of the things that poor people do that can actually help us. Whether you are poor or not, I know most people are not poor. We're going to talk about who is poor in the next few minutes, but whatever it is, we just want you to have an open mind and see. because wisdom is not in only one source. It can come from everywhere. You just have to be smart enough to be looking for it. And today, we are going to be smart. We're going to look at the poor lives of poor people and see what things we can learn from them and then make our lives better. If we are not poor, if we are rich, or if we are not, we are in between, not poor, not rich, whatever it is, we can take some lessons from those who are poor. And so that is what today's live show is about. Well, before we continue, just have to introduce myself. We never do introduction because we feel like everybody already knows us. But for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I am DrOteng, pharmacist, and this is
DrOteng, pharmacist.
and we are both in healthcare and experienced, healthcare professionals, also in leadership roles in our various places of, work and church and, mentors of young people. And so we bring to you what we know and what we learn on the live. So thank you for joining us. Let's move on to our discussion today. All right. So these are the things we are going to talk about. We have put them in an outline. First one we're going to talk about is who is poor and why should we even learn from the poor? I think I already alluded to that, right? So we won't spend much time on why. And then we're also going to talk about 6 lessons from the poor. So the things we have seen from the poor people or poor communities that we want to learn from. And then we will talk about, we will actually wait for you to also bring your comments as we go forward. As a matter of fact, you can bring your comment anytime, but at that point where it's written, we would actually pause and wait for you to bring comments, answers, questions, and the like. So that is our outline for today's show. So now let's begin. Who is poor? Who is poor? You want to start off?
Who is poor? So, if we are talking in terms of material things, then we can say that somebody who has limited resources, limited resources. So, there is a lot of scarcity of what the means to live as individuals. So, if your resources are limited, I think we all have limited resources one way or the other, but some people have it so not much, like very little, that they have to choose and pick what their resource can do. So they tend to do things like differently from somebody who has a lot of resources. So they would depend more like what they need as compared to what they want, so that like the basics of life, the resources that they have is limited, so they tend to ration which one to use or which one to do first over a second one, as compared to somebody who has not so much rich but they have almost everything that they need to live.
My goodness, my goodness. So that is who is poor. So, like she said, it may not be just the destitute, the person who is completely broke, but anybody who has limited, really limited resources can live in a way that we can learn from. And so, using the word poor does not necessarily mean you have to be completely broke. But if you are having to live your life adjusted just to make ends meet, it means that we can learn something from you. And if you have a lot of money, you may still have some needs. I think human needs are insatiable, right? We cannot completely get everything that we want, and so everybody lives in a way, um, just to make sure that their life is adjusted, well adjusted, they're doing well in terms of how they do what is important to them. And so we can actually all be called poor because nobody has everything. And so we can learn from how adjusting your life to meet your needs uh, make you do certain things differently, and how we can apply that lesson to what our health can be. So our choices can be made that way. So that is what we mean by who is poor. Now, the other question then is uh, uh, why should we learn from the poor? I think I alluded to that. I don't know if you want to say something, but I did allude to that. Why do you think we should learn from the poor?
Because of the limited resources, they do things in a different way. I think we talked about it, right? They do things differently that can lead to them being healthier because of the adjustments that they have to do. So there are certain things or certain lifestyle that they are going through that may be helpful in terms of health related.
All right. So that is why we want to learn from the poor. So the poor communities, in fact, when we call a group of people, we can actually assign some roles, the way they do their things. And those things will be certain things that can actually help us to learn and then adjust our own lifestyles just to make sure that we live happily and healthily. So that is what we are about to do. I'm just trying to make sure that I share this to my folks that are also not here yet. And so that is what I'm doing. So if you haven't done that, I implore you. I was going to say by the mercies of God. Yeah, I could still say that, right? Yes, just click the share button and share with us so that we can roll together. Share with everyone that you know so that we can roll together. So that we can roll together. All right. So with that being said, we will go to our next slide. So we are going to talk about the six lessons that we think we should learn from people with limited resources. And the first one that we have listed here is simplicity and minimalism. Six lessons. So, this is lessons from the community of people who are living in poverty or with limited resources. And what we have seen with such group or such people is that they live with simplicity and they live minimally. They don't live big. They live with simple life. They live simple lives. You want to throw more light to that?
Yeah, so like lifestyle is like they don't stretch themselves so much because they don't have much, so they simplify their lives in such a way that they are able to maybe accommodate or to be able to provide or sponsor whatever they are trying to do in life. Let's say if they want to take a vacation, they are not going to stretch themselves to the point that they can afford it. They will do it in such a way that they are able to afford it. So if we tend to our lives, sometimes we want to do everything in extravagant way, like big, you know and that can bring to us stress, that can stress us up in case that you want to go to this huge vacation. You may not have the money, but you have the resource, you have the credit card, you're going to use it and you're going to go.
If you have a credit card, I don't think that's your money.
It's still a
It's a resource.
resource.
Oh,
Yeah, you
right.
have good credits, so they've given you $10,000. So you have the money, you have the resource. It's not yours per se, but at least you are able to use that. So you have access to that. So you will stretch yourself and you use it, then you come back broke because you have to take almost 5 years to pay off the debts that you incur. So that's like something that you are putting on yourself, stress. So if you are going to live in a simple life, like you're going to take vacation next state, not something big, something little, but at least you get time to relax and spend time with the family. You don't overstretch yourself, and not overstretching yourself, like you are not stressed because you are able to do what you can handle. Yes.
My goodness, that's exactly what I was about to say too. Not stressed, not stressed. The key is we are learning this from people with limited resources, the poor folks. They live simple lives. For them, it may not be a choice because they don't have the resources, right? And because the resources are not there, they are forced to live minimally, simple. If it's a house, just a small few bedrooms that they can afford. If it is a rental that they are getting, something that it's small, cut according to their size because they know their resources are limited. And doing this actually helps them live better, healthier lives because they have done these things according to what they can afford. They are less stressed. And so if you are not poor and you are trying to achieve everything, complex, I should say, complexity of life, looking at people, the way people show up on Facebook, the way people show up on Instagram, and you want to make sure you live that way, you are going to be stressed. And remember, this lesson we are learning is to apply to our health so that you will have the money, all right, but because you are not living simple enough, because your life is too complicated, you are bothering yourself with too many things that are stretching you and stressing you, you end up being anxious. You may end up with that, a depression, anxiety, and all these things are diseases that you don't want to get yourself into. So, for us on a life and health show, what we are telling you is that live a simple life. Live a simple life, the minimalist approach to life. Do not overstretch yourself. Copy the life of the poor. You may not be poor, but would you rather live in a place where you can afford it and have your peace of mind and not be stressed, or because you have money you stretch yourself and buy something that you literally can't even take a break from your work because you have to pay for this? That makes you stressed and sick in the long run. And the poor people who are counting on their minimal resources are living simple lives and relaxed. That is why some people don't understand why people in communities that we associate with poverty, like some war-torn areas in Africa, how these people are able to live and enjoy. Kids running around and play. Well, they are living a simple life. My goodness. They are living within their means. The simple
They are
life.
hardly stressed.
They are hardly stressed. They're hardly, not that they don't know that there's something better out there for them. They do. But if they don't have it, they don't stress themselves about it. They are relaxed, and such people usually grow older. In fact, if you go to places where people grow older, they live simple lives. People who live longer, they live simple lives. They are not bothered by life's complexities, life's competitions, what is out there that they have to get every day. They are not bothered by that. And so that is a lesson number one that we want to learn from people who are poor or who may be limited in resources, so that our health will be better. Unless you have any.
Yeah, so they focus on what truly matters because
My
that's what
goodness.
is
My
available
goodness.
for what truly matters in life. Is it living in a huge mansion? That is not what matters. It's about building a family that love one another. So they focus on that. And by doing that, overall health being is ensured because there is less stress.
Less stress. My goodness. Less stress. Less stress. All right. So we will move to the next one then. Our next lesson is lesson number 2, portion control and intermittent fasting. Lessons from the resource challenged. My goodness.
Resource challenged.
Do you understand that? All right. So I don't know about you, but I know, and I've lived in a place where people, because of the lack of resources, people have to cut some of their meals. Everybody believes in 3 square meals a day, right? For the most part. But for the people who are with limited resources, for the people who may be poor, that may not be the norm. And they live like, instead of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they may have brunch. So they combine breakfast with lunch, and that's what they have for lunch. And then perchance, if they can afford, they do something also for dinner. So their resource situation has forced them to cut out breakfast, and then they have brunch, or they just eat lunch, because of their resource situation. But did you know that doing that is a health, innovative way to live healthy life? You did not know. That is intermittent fasting. So if you have all the money and you can afford it, copy this from the poor folks who are cutting down and cutting out meals and snacks because they cannot afford it. This is a huge lesson that every one of us should take. You may be able to afford, in fact, not just 3 square meals. Some of us can afford 4 or 5 square meals.
You have to add the snacks in between.
And
so
you
like
add
5.
the snacks in between. For some people, you can potentially call it 6 square meals because it is affordable. And if you open the fridge, there's food, there's chicken, there's sheep,
There is sheep.
there's lamb, there's turkey, there is beef,
Chicken.
and there is all the other delicacies that you can talk about. The fridge is always filled up, along with the snacks, the juices, the ice creams, the chips, the sodas, or some people call it the minerals. They got it all, and so constantly food is going in their mouth. Did you know that that is detrimental to your health? So let's learn this lesson from the poor, who, by virtue of their limited resource situation, have learned to cut out some of these things. Some people in their homes, they don't drink juice, they don't drink sodas, and it's not because they don't like it. Unfortunately, they didn't know they were doing the right thing, but their resource situation has told them that, hey, we can afford it, so we're just going to drink water, and it is working out for them. So men and women out there watching, young people, old people, it is time to copy this lifestyle of the poor and make ourselves healthier, because studies have shown that intermittent fasting has been used, as a matter of fact, to reverse prediabetes. Some people who had diabetes have had their diabetes overturned or returned back because they cut out some meals. They eat only once a day, even though they may have the money, all right, but because they did that, it has helped them resolve their diabetes. And this is when your diabetes is in the early stages. I'm not talking about advanced diabetes may not be able to get reversed, but other issues, other metabolic issues. Some people, cholesterol is eating them up. Some people, fat built up around their belly, their waist, their cheeks. Everything is fat, 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 and it is because they have been eating constantly. And if you are going to learn this lesson from the poor, intermittently fast, cut out some meals, even if it is a couple of days a week. For me, I try not to eat on Wednesdays. At least if I'll eat in the evening. But you'll be probably saying, "Are you skinny? You don't need it." Yeah, I need it. My goodness. And so if people with resource challenge are doing it and they are getting health benefit from that, then how much more, how much less you probably need to do the same, because there are health benefits from doing that. Definitely health benefits from doing that.
This it can be a little challenging because, like, maybe when you were growing up, you did not have that 3 square meals, right? And food was very limited in the house. Like, let's take like chicken, right? It's only Christmas that maybe the whole family have to share one whole
Oh
chicken.
my goodness.
The minerals, the Fanta, the juice,
Sodas.
the sodas, the orange juices. Sometimes it's only Christmas that you get to drink it.
And the crackers.
And
cookies.
the Christmas crackers and all that. That is the only time that you get access to. You get like to enjoy that delicacies, right? Then you've grown up. You are making all this money, and you are saying that I should go back to how I lived as a child.
My goodness.
That is not good. So, like, if you start working, you want to make sure that you are eating, like, you add 3, like 4 eggs. You eat, you have lunch, you have rice and stew, you have chicken. Dinner, you have all the, the hard starch food and a lot of meat, the red meat. You have access to it. You can buy, you can afford it. And now you are telling me to go back to the way that I lived when we were poor and we didn't have much to do. That is a huge challenge.
It is.
But as we all know, it comes with a lot of issue if you don't watch your diet. So if you've been eating all along because you think that you have the money, you can afford it, you have the resource, the fridge is filled up with everything that you can think of. This afternoon we are entreating you, you have to go back and start rethink the way that you eat. If you can cut one meal, that would be a good thing to do. If you can hold off your what time to break your fast, if you can break it at 12 o'clock, and in that case you're cutting breakfast and you're eating healthy with the 2 meals a day, you're not going to die.
You're not going to die. My goodness.
That will be a way to manage your weight and be
weight.
able to control your well-being overall. So we encourage each and everyone that to take a look at, not because you have the food, you have all the money, you have everything at your disposal, you will keep eating and eating. You are killing yourself slowly. So you have to look at the poor and just think of you not having it at all. You know,
My
not
goodness.
having it at all.
There's something there. That's good.
Is it on?
So that is it for that part. Actually, I think. Yeah, I think it's your phone, right? All right. Sorry about that. So make sure, ensure that you cut out some meals. Cut out some meals. Like she said, you will not perish. You will not die. You shall live and declare the works of the Lord. But you got to make sure that you live healthily by cutting out some meals. Now, it's easier said than done, especially if you have not been doing that over time. But it becomes so easy once your body gets used to it. Ask the people who are resource challenged, people who are poor, who don't have the money. Again, they have no choice and they have been living this way. Go to some communities, everybody is good in terms of weight. You don't see over. I wanted to show some pictures, but I don't want to, shame any particular group of people. You see that everybody is good in terms of their weight. They are doing good and they are living healthy. And if you look into it, they are really not, people do not have a lot of money. They are living and doing the right things.
Less cholesterol
Less
level,
cholesterol,
no
less
sugar
fat, low
problems.
sugar, and very active and all those things. So let's learn from this as we strive to become wealthy, as we strive to become rich, as we strive to live normal, happy lives. We still have to learn these lessons from when, I'm pretty sure most of you were not born rich. So if you're not born rich, you can actually look back and say, I used to have one meal a day. Now the doctor is saying that my belly is growing. Can I just go back to that time? Just even if not 3 meals, at least. I mean, I'll cut to 2. Just start that way and then live a better, healthy life that way. That will help you. All right. So we are on that is lesson number 2, portion control. We didn't even mention the portion control. We just talked about the intermittent fasting, but also portion sizes. Some people too, honey, they will not eat all the time, but when they get the chance to eat, they'll eat the world. My goodness. The portion size, a man eating, you see a full bowl, and this man will finish it all. They will clear it. And when you ask them, they will tell you that I eat once a day.
Yes.
That is not good either, because you are storing fat throughout the day for your body to use. No wonder you are not losing the weight and you think you're eating once a day. Your portion sizes are so overwhelming. So you got to cut down on the portion size by eating, smaller portions, probably many more times a day than to sit down. Or some people too, they eat regularly, like 3 times, and all of them are heavy meals. All of them. That is not a way for good health. That is not a way for good health. Your cholesterol will rise quickly, especially as we grow. Not only will that continue, but you're going to have other issues. You can't even metabolize the things you're eating. You're just storing and storing and storing. So let's watch our portion sizes, as we go forward. Learn this lesson from the resource challenged, from the poor who don't have enough. So they will have to divide the little they have into portions. Sometimes when they cook, they have to leave some for tomorrow. So they will leave half of the meal. They could have consumed everything in one day, but they leave the half in the fridge just so they will have something to eat for tomorrow. So pretend like you are poor. Pretend like you are resource challenged. Pretend like you have nothing to eat, and eat that way. And you're gonna have more energy. You're gonna be so refreshed. You're gonna be you're gonna lose weight. Being overweight is not good. You're gonna lose weight. You're gonna have a healthy weight, and you're gonna live a better, less disease prone life. All right.
Yeah. Also, like if you are a family of 7 or a family of 8, and your mom cook at night, and your mom have to divide the little food into like 7 portions, because everybody have to eat.
Everybody has to eat.
And sometimes too, you have to do it in such a way that it's not too close to night, because maybe during the day nobody has eaten. So you tend to eat a little early. Maybe by 6 o'clock, dinner is ready. And you are dividing it into 8 portions for 8 people in the family, for everybody to eat. So that control the portion size, so that you get just enough
to get by.
to get by. You don't get to overeat because there is not much food for everybody to overeat.
My
So the
goodness.
little that your parents give you, you just sit down and eat that size. So in the same way, let's think of it that even if we have a whole lot of rice cooked for that day, we are not going to
Eat it
fill the
all.
whole plate with just white rice. We have to put portion, the greens, the meat, balanced diet. Just little of each, something, essential minerals, everything on the plate so that we can have a balanced food diet
My
all the time.
goodness. My goodness. So that is lesson number 2 for you. Portion size and intermittent fasting forced on the poor, but the rich need to learn. All right. My goodness.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. All right. So now let's move on to the next one. And our next one is lesson number 3. Lesson number 3 is nutrient dense and whole foods. So, do you want to start that? So, if you go to resource challenged communities, I like that term better than call them poor. If you go to a resource challenged communities, they have some foods, and the reason why they eat those foods are that that's all they can afford. They can afford 1 meal or 2 meals in a day. So that food that they eat must contain enough nutrients to carry them through their entire day, no matter how much work they're doing. Where I used to live, there was a food called gabins. Those of you who know, you can put a comment in the chat. My goodness. I'll call it red, right? And people actually named it concrete because it actually sits in your belly like concrete. This is some carbohydrate mixed with protein in the form of beans, and when people eat it, they don't get hungry. Now I understand why people love it so much, because they don't have the money to buy breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and so they just wait and get their concrete, and that concrete holds them for the day. But the good thing is that it is nutrient dense. It's a legume, and because of the legume, they get proteins, they get carbohydrates, they get all sorts of vitamins, and that carries them through the entire day. And so, what we want to learn from this lifestyle of the resource challenged or of the poor is that learn to eat foods that are dense, with nutrients. So you won't have to keep eating over and over again. Some of the foods, I think I have a bureau that I should give to you. You can take over and talk about some of them. I think you have some.
Oh, some of the dense foods?
Yeah.
Yeah, this include eggs, spinach, avocado, salmon, leafy green vegetables, liver, blueberries, kale, beans. So those are all dense foods that we should learn to incorporate. I said avocado, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
avocado
and
is
the
one.
beans. Yeah. So all these green leafy foods should be part of our diet. So that's Brussels sprouts,
Brussels sprouts,
apple, and
bell peppers.
yes, all the good stuff. Let's try as much as possible to include them in our daily diet.
My goodness.
In so doing, we live healthy lives.
We live healthy lives because we are eating the densely, nutrient, rich foods that carry us over a long day. If you eat Brussels sprouts and you fill your belly up with Brussels sprouts, you are getting a lot of fiber from the get-go. You're going to get a lot of vitamins from the get-go. And then because it's, green leafy and bulky, you'll be filled. You won't have to dwell on eating some junk food in the day because you are filled up with good stuff like that. So nutrient dense foods are some of the things that resource challenged people do eat. Now, granted that in some places these are expensive, that they may not be able to buy these specific ones, but they have their own kinds that they can afford, like the one that I mentioned, the Gabbians thing I mentioned. And so we have to learn to incorporate these in our daily diet so that we will not depend on too much of the carbohydrates. We will not depend too much on the things that make people sick, but rather we'll eat the healthy things like the avocados, the green beans or the peas, and all those good stuff that some of them are on our screen right now. that
Yeah.
will sustain us and make us live healthy
And
lives.
also eating these foods, these dense foods that we are talking about, also reduce your cravings for sugary foods,
Mm,
for starchy foods, and it also reduce your appetite
mm,
because you are filled up, like you said, it's bulky, so
mm.
it stay in your stomach longer, you know. So it stay there, and your edge, your desire to eat, or your cravings are reduced
I reduce.
because of the dense foods. Sometimes you feel like you are not really full when you eat them,
Mm.
but if you just drink water on top of what
It will
you've
bulk up,
eaten and you give yourself time, the hunger goes away.
goes away.
But if you eat the starchy foods and the white foods, you just eat, and few hours later you are starving,
Starving.
that you need more and more.
Mm.
You know, so eating, including these kinds of foods in your diet, really help control
Definitely.
your weight.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. That is what's up. So if you're watching and you haven't tried any of these in your diet, begin to try them out and live a healthy life, just like some of the resource challenge or some of the poor people are doing. In some communities, we are just shown what we have here, but there are some other green leafy vegetables, some other fruits that are green that are all dense with nutrients. They are dense with nutrients. And so if you eat this and you eat it once a day, or even with this, I think even you eat multiple times a day and it's all this, I think you'll be fine. But definitely include these in your diet because that is what a lesson that we should learn from the poor people. Do you have anything
Let's
else to add?
continue.
All right. So then the next one that we are going to talk about is, oh, this is a time for break. All right. So at this point, we just want to make sure that if you are watching, make sure you bring your comments. I think there's one comment that is here. Let me see if I can use this to bring it on. No. All right. So I think there's only one comment for now, and it is Enrico Poku saying, "Good evening to the audience. Very insightful discussion. Oh my goodness, thank you, Nagoro. I don't know if there's any other comments in any other place, but we will respond to them if we did not see them on this live right now. All right, so share if you haven't already shared. Share the stream with someone you know. Share with your friends on Facebook, on YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you are watching from. And then also make sure you have clicked the like button. And oh, the new thing is that you could actually give us some stars on Facebook. I had to try it myself. I clicked the stars and they gave me 49 stars for a buck, for a dollar. My goodness.
Oh, you tried it.
I tried it. So if you haven't tried it, yes, give us some support and make sure we encourage because that is going to help us with our stream and the equipment and stuff that we do here. Now, we also want to use this opportunity to encourage you to go on our website that has our merch. As you can see on the screen, it's www.drOteng.com. And we have some merch actually there. Let me see if I can show you that before we continue. Don't leave yet. We're still going to go on to the topic, but I just want to make sure that you see this before we continue. So on this merch store, we have some items that pop out with the messages that we have shared on our live shows. Some of them are just short captures of what we have talked about. So if you buy some and you're wearing it, you are living what we have told you. It also serves as a reminder. You can also buy it as a gift to somebody. It's going to be shipped to your address, and that will be it. So this is like one of them. It says "Born to Fight." My goodness, if you are born to fight, this is it for you. If you are born to fight. Now, it may not be to fight and get incarcerated. I'm not talking about that kind of fighting, all right? But born to fight diseases, born to win. I think there's another one actually that is called born to win. Let me see if I can go that right. Well, before that, there's another one here that we also have said success is impact, not wealth. We talked about our last show. I actually talked about the epiphany that I had on success, in life, not being wealth, and then we have added it to our shirts now. So success is impact, not wealth. You can wear this not only to encourage yourself, but to remind you to impact more lives around you. There's a few other things that we have on the thing on the website. I also have this one that says that life goes with life. My goodness. If you are living, you are alive. You are showing your life. We are showing life through the medium of Facebook, but your life is life for other people to see. And so if you wear this, it encourages you that whatever you're doing, people are watching. It may not be through YouTube or Facebook, but you yourself, your life is life and people are watching. So that I love this shit. And so if you want to get one, just go on the www.drOteng.com and buy some. We have women's as well as men's, and different colors. This one is more, like the African design, and then when you come to the one with red, white, and blue, this is more like the Western. So it's a blue, and it also says the same thing. Life goes live. If you are living, you got to go live. And so those are fun things that we share with you on the show that you can capture. And yeah, this is the one I was talking about. Born to win. If you are born to win, if you believe that you're born to win, be bold to get this shirt and wear it and show your folks that, hey, I may be going through stuff, but I'm a winner at the end. Born to win. So those are very interesting stuff that we have compiled. We also talk about stress a lot. And so we have hats and shirts that also have relax on them, which you can also get. So go on the, no, don't leave the live show yet. Don't leave the stream if you are watching, or don't leave it if you are watching from the replay. After the replay, just make sure that you remember to go to DrOteng.com and check these out so that we will roll together. All right, so let's go back to our stream. Now, what is the next lesson? What is the next lesson that we have to learn from the resource? Lesson number 4, it's regular physical activity. How can we learn that from the poor?
So let's think about the people that are wealthy, or they that can afford certain things more than the poor. They have the car, so they drive to work every day. And even when they get to work, they have elevator to get them up to whatever level they're at. And there is barely any activity during the day. And they just sit behind their computers throughout the day. And when they finish, even lunch, they still drive to lunch and they come back. Barely any activity. They come home, they drive, they don't even park outside and walk to their house. They drive straight to the garage and just open the door and enter the house. And they get to the house. Everything is so easy. They get to their comfortable sofa, they relax, they watch TV, the food, they have a whole lot to eat. And after that, they just relax, watch TV, because they have all the resources, to afford to enjoy life that way. But if you think of a poor person, the person have to wake up very early morning, walk maybe few miles to get to where the bus station or the train station is at. So that morning exercise has been taken care of, because the poor person cannot afford to drive or a car. They will walk some few miles, like 3 miles in a day. Then when they get to where they are going, they get down, they have to walk to the place of work. And when they get to the place of work, maybe they will take the stairs instead of taking the elevator.
Some of them don't even have elevators because
where they work,
poor community, right?
Or maybe they have to go to farm. Maybe wherever the car will drop them, they have to walk deep into where the farm is. And when they get there, the whole day activity is physical activity. Physical.
My goodness. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, you
They're
have
working
to
in
weed.
The factory or weed on the farm.
And you have to bend over.
Bend and
lift and lift and get up and bend and lift. And so the whole day they stay active throughout. And when they finish, they have to walk another 3 miles to where the bus station is, get home, and walk another 3 miles back home. And even when they get home, they have to start cooking. They have to cook themselves. And that is also activity. So they keep busy throughout the day. And maybe their couch is not that comfortable. So
so they may not even want to enjoy it when they get home.
They don't even get to enjoy it. But they go to bed on time because they don't have to sit and watch any program. So that lifestyle keep them active throughout the day. And if they are going to live their life for a long period of time, they will end up being healthy overall as compared to somebody who is rich and or can afford a lot of things and do not have any activity. For maybe 20 years of their adult's life, they don't have any activity. What will happen to such a person?
If you are not intentional about including physical activity. This is why this is a lesson for all of us. But I will use us as an example. Where we work, we drive from our garages, park right in our garage, drive from our garage. When you park at work, it's like literally on the building's parking lot. You just walk there. You work a little bit, you come home, you go straight to your car, drive to your garage, you're out. If you are not intentional about being physically active, you're going to be like always not working out, always not active. And that is recipe for disaster in terms of health. It's bad for us. We are made to be moving. We are made to be active. When our ancestors came on the earth, they were made to walk miles, to hunt for food, search for food, until recently, we spread our tentacles around the entire globe, so you can go to a place where it's as cold as where we are. So you don't want to walk outside. You want to just drive into your garage. But we should not forget about what we are made to do. We are made to be active, moving beings. And so we have to learn this lesson from the poor or from the resource-challenged people who, for no desire of their own, they are having to walk, like Gifty said, maybe miles. Sometimes, maybe even if it's a half mile. I don't do a half mile, but all I do is like a couple of steps from my living room to the garage because it's right there. And so if you are not, careful, you will not be active. And physical activity is very important for your health. So this is a lesson that we all should learn. I don't care how much money you have made. You have to learn to walk. You have to learn to run. For us, we have a treadmill down here that we can run on, and we have a gym in the same place that we are actually coming live to. That makes us at least do some of the things that we have been told are good for our health in terms of physical activity. So people, let's copy the lives of the poor. Live again. When we were preparing for this, one thing that came, I think we should make a t-shirt out of this. Live rich, but live like the poor. My goodness, it will come like that. We don't want you to go and be broke. No, we want you to have everything. But when you have everything, remember to live like you don't have it. Basically, that's the whole point. So live like you don't have a car. If you have a car, at some point, park your car and walk. Park your car farther away from the shopping mall that you're going to, so you will be forced to walk a little bit rather than to just up and down in your car. No movement, nothing. You just eat, like Gifty said. It's not something far-fetched. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, until we became conscious, we were doing the same thing.
Yes.
You come home, take your shower, eat, couch, eat, sleep, and then wake up, go. No walking, no movement. And that is not good for your health. That is definitely not good for your health. And so let's learn, at least, even if it's not the life of the poor or the resource challenge, we should learn and remember that our creator made us to be moving. We were originally made to move, run. And so we cannot completely take it out just because we are living comfortable lives now. If you have a home and you don't have a gym in the home, you have failed yourself. My goodness. Yeah, I can say that, right? Yeah. If you can afford a mansion, but there's no gym, or if there's gym and you don't use it, you are failing. The essence of your being rich, you are not fulfilling it all. You got to be part of what God made you to be. Be active, be moving, be lifting the weights, walk around, run, and add them to it. And it's going to help with your mental health. Your stress levels are going to go down. You may beat diabetes better. You may beat high blood pressure better. You may beat cholesterol better. You may beat a host of other diseases just because you are active. And so that is why we should learn this from the rich, the poor.
So if your lifestyle do not allow you to be active, because it's not your fault. That's how the system has been set up for you.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have to be conscious about it. You have to be intentional.
Intentional. That's the word.
Intentional
Yeah,
about it.
that is a word.
Yeah. So for me, I do the 30 minutes before showering, right? You have to be intentional. You have to make time. Because if you want to stay with this business and I'm busy, you will never be active. So you have to make conscious effort that I will, if not every day, at least 5 days a week. Because people are doing it every day. They are doing it every day. So 5 days or at least 3 days in a week. Get some activities going on. Be intentional about it.
Intentional.
Be intentional.
Because it won't happen by chance.
And it's not just your weight. That because somebody will say that, oh, I'm fine, I don't need exercise because my weight is normal, it's okay. It's not about weight. It's about pumping the heart, about exercising the muscles. Because your lifestyle is like you don't even bend down often. You don't do stretching. You don't stretch. You don't
Your
do
bone
certain
health, your bone is
activities. Yeah, so you should be intentional. Put some activities down 3 times a week.
At
3
least.
times at least. Just get that going. Fit it into your schedule and make time for it. And I think Hamza also tested like biking
Yeah.
in the neighborhood, taking a walk. If you have a treadmill, take a walk. Walk on it or walk outside. The weather is good now. Take a trip or bike with the kids and just stay active. That is good for the body and overall health.
My goodness. My brother Hamza, Mike is saying biking around the neighborhood is also a great idea. Definitely, biking around is a great idea. Anything that will keep you moving. When you're biking, you're pedaling, and your leg is moving, your heart may eventually move, and all that. So definitely incorporate physical activity, intentional. Okay, the key is intentional. Because there's no time for anything, especially those of you who live where we live in the US. Every day is wake up and go to work. There's not like free time anywhere. And so if you don't create the time, you won't have the time. You definitely have to actually decide that I am going out to run or I'm going to lift metals. I'm going to do this time every week, no matter what. Fit it in your schedule, and then it will happen. And then you can say that at least I have learned this from the poor who don't have it. They have been forced to work. I'm not being forced. I have consciously made that choice because I know the point of doing it. And that is what we want to actually project on this live. So that was lesson 4. We got 2 more lessons to go. So don't leave. Share if you haven't shared the stream already because we got to grow healthy together. Lessons from the poor, the unlikely lessons from the poor. All right. Do you have anything else for this? Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next lesson, which is lesson 5, social connections. Social connections. That is also something very, very important. Very important for your mental health, at least. How many of you have observed the poor communities or poor neighborhoods? There's one thing that is always common to them. They are together. Their kids are going out to play together. Their parents are talking and getting themselves, together. And those of you who come from Africa and other, places, people usually have time to go and play. I'm talking about adults play Ludo or Wari. I don't know what other games. Ampe. And also over here in the US, people go to even restaurants, sports bars, and people play together.
They sit outside.
They sit out and chat.
Long period of time.
Cookouts that are happening, which I think we are missing because we are doing this live show for today. My goodness. Because of the 4th of July celebrations in the US, the Independence Day celebration is coming in a couple of days. So this weekend is cookout. Many people are stepping out and being connected with each other. That is a lesson that we have to learn. For the poor folks and poor communities, they do it all the time. They don't wait for holidays. Because I don't know whether it's because they have time on their hands. They do, right? They can connect and be involved. But some people have to basically definitely try and make it happen. And if you don't, it affects your mental health. And so go out there and connect because it works on your health. People who are connected mentally, socially, have one of the best mental health outcomes in their lives because they get to share problems together. They can talk about issues with friends. They have people who encourage and advise them. People who go to church usually have this because they have groups in church when they go to church on a Sunday or evening or whatever time they meet. They have people to laugh at, people to laugh with, I should say. But if you are homebound all the time because you're making money, as for you, there's no time for anything social. Even your wife, you can't even have time for your wife or your husband. There's always work. It's always something happening. And that is not good for your mental health. That is not good. And so on this Life and Health show, we want to implore you, learn this lesson from the poor, who by no choice of theirs, well, as Gifty said, they have time on their hands so they can connect, right? Let's create time on our hands to connect so that we will live healthy life. I don't know if you have anything else to add to
Yeah,
that.
so I think in this part of the world,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of individualism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their like their family.
Mm-hmm.
They stay together. There is no connection. Even you don't even know your neighbor.
Mm.
You know, everything is so individualism. Like you have your car, uh, like your kids have their gadgets.
Mm.
You feel like you don't need anybody for anything because he can afford it all.
Mm.
Like if you come to your kids, you have a nanny coming over to take care of your kids. You don't depend on anybody for
Family and
anything.
friends and
You don't
anything.
depend on anybody. You feel like you don't need anybody because you don't need anything from anybody. That is so not true.
Mm.
We are social beings. We need each other.
Mm.
We need each other. So let's try and build connections.
Mm.
If you have your nuclear family, you try to incorporate your extended family if they are close by. There are times that you can come together and share ideas, share experience, laugh together. If you have friends, you can get together. If you have girlfriends, you can go out together and chit chat and talk.
Mm-hmm.
If you have men friends, the guys can also get together and do stuff together.
Mm.
And in that way it relaxes you, like
Relaxes
you're
you.
talking about mental health. It
Mm-hmm.
takes some of the stress out than to be a loner and do everything all by yourself because you feel like you don't need anybody.
My goodness, my goodness. So we definitely need to ensure that we are socially connected because without that we can have serious mental health issues. And so I think that would take us to the next one that we were the last one, lesson number 6. So lesson number 6 is rest and sleep. Rest and sleep. And Gifty made a comment when I was talking about this, and it was funny. What did you say again?
They have a lot of time.
My goodness, again. Lesson from the poor. The poor man, by virtue of either being lazy or not being lazy but lack of opportunities, have a lot of time on their hands to sleep. They can sleep at 7 or 8 and wake up at 10 because there's no job. They don't have a job to attend to. And so they are enriching and revitalizing their bodies. But you and I, who are living here abroad, who are living here in the West, who are living in the city, who are living, in a place where you got to wake up and go. If you don't take care, you cannot rest. You may not rest. And that is serious stuff for your health. And so let's learn this lesson from the poor, whether it is by choice or by having, no choice, but just because they don't have a job, they can sleep. We have to create a time to sleep and rest because those also help with our body, physical body, as well as, our mental health. And if you have anything to.
So like that's what intentionality also comes in. You have to be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be conscious about the time to sleep because some people have to bring a lot of work from their job back home, and they will find themselves staying up till maybe 3 a.m. and they won't go to. You have to have a regular sleeping cycle. Studies have shown that adults, we need well, at least 6 hours of sleep every day. I know the kids need up to 9 or 8 hours a day, but the adult is very important that you give your body rest at least 6 hours every day. So you have to be conscious about it, and you have to have a fixed bedtime. You know your bedtime is at 11 p.m. You have to make a conscious effort that 11 p.m. you turn everything off and you go and sleep. And if you it's at 6 a.m., you wake up at 6 or 5 a.m., you wake up. You have to be conscious about it. But because if you're not careful, you will realize that you are not having a good night's sleep. And not having a good night's sleep comes with a lot of complications. You know, your cells are not being rejuvenated, you are not rested, you wake up stressed, confused, and all that. So you have to make time. It's a conscious effort. Make it happen. You know, set a time and say that this is my sleeping time. You turn off all your gadgets. The people that keep texting and waking you up, you turn it off. You turn off the TV, everything, any distraction, take it off and give your body a good night rest. And that will fulfill you and give you an overall health for your body.
My goodness, my goodness. That is deep. That is deep. So that is lesson number 6, and that is going to be the last lesson for uh, us from the unlikely source, from the poor man, learning to rest as if we had no money and we have no work, as they do it. Learn to rest. Fit it into your lifestyle because it will do you good in your health.
Your
You know,
off day, you don't
your
offer to
off
work,
days you
right?
can make up when you don't have, work. You can make your sleep out. Sometimes you can catch up. We call it catching up on sleep. Not always going and always running. I tell you, if you decide that you won't sleep, you won't sleep because there's always something. Some people have 2 jobs and they are barely getting any sleep, but it's going to catch up to you at some point. So you better make the time to rest, quick naps here and there, and ensure that you live healthy lives. That is what we think you should do. So we are going to actually end this presentation here. I think that was the last one, right?
Yes.
So we are going to say that with all these that we have said, you have to, the key thing that came about that I think we said was being intentional. I don't know if you can actually remember. It's being intentional about all these things, because some of you have heard all these things before and you're still not doing them. We just have to put it under this topic to make it interesting, because if we know that you are learning from the poor, probably you know that you got to do something. And so if we haven't challenged you enough, be self-motivated because that's what we can do. And if we have, but you have excuses, like it came across, be intentional. Make sure that you actually plan to get these things done, because they will not happen by themselves. Sometimes you will try and your body itself may fight you, because you want to be physically active. The first couple of days, it's going to be painful. If you run, you're going to sweat. If you don't sweat, you're probably going to be tired for a longer time. But the key is, do not give up. Keep doing it, and soon your body will yield and say that, you know what, this thing is going to happen anyway. Let me just cooperate, and then it becomes easier on you. It's like any exercise that you pick up. And also eating right, cutting out those high, glucose and high starchy foods that we eat. The foods, the potatoes, the all those white starchy foods that we can cut out, just so that we'll be healthier than before. And so that is what we have for you today. And next week, God willing, we are coming up with a similar show. In fact, this live show is going to also be on a short form video where we talk about these points in a quick, maybe 8 to 10 minutes uh, video that you can also watch. So share. And though we are about to end, don't forget to also hit on our channel, our website, DrOteng.com, and check again on our merch. I like some of the things that we have. I don't want to say it so much, but some of these things may actually speak volumes if you have them. Born to fight, born to fight. Ladies and gents shirts that will give you some of these things that we have talked about. Success is impact, how much impact you're making, not how much money you have, and all those other things that we have on the site. So DrOteng.com will have them, and you can purchase them and roll with us. So until we see you again, we say, Beloved,
we
wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Thank you. God bless you for watching.
watching.
Thanks.